Welcome to the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. Each week these idiots pair cocktails with comic books. You can find the cocktails, drinking game rules, and playlists on the blog at funnybooksandfirewater.com. While at funnybooksandfirewater.com, you can also find a drinking game rule to play while you listen to each episode. You can follow us at FirewaterCast on Twitter, and Funny Books and Firewater on Facebook and Instagram. This is episode 164, On A Sunbeam. Part of Pride 3, Kissing in a Tree.
Why does my dictionary keep pulling up all this shit? I don't care. Okay.
That's what you want to start with?
Yeah. You think
so it's who runs Border Town. That's
Yeah.
what I want to know. Who runs Border Town?
I don't know who runs Border Town. I don't even know what that reference is to.
Is that from Deadwood?
I am so disappointed in everybody. Master Blaster runs Border Town.
I got
Mad
fucking
Max,
nothing. What are you talking?
Beyond Thunderdome, Tina Turner.
See, here's the funny thing is Mad Max Fury Road is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have never seen the original 3.
Dude.
Yeah, same.
I own them. We'll do a movie marathon where we'll do that, and then we'll watch The Godfather.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe I will be in Utah for a week with nothing to do. I mean, other than catch up on work. Maybe we'll have to do it that week.
That'd be
because-
awesome.
Yeah, well, this as we record this Saturday coming up is Pride, so this will actually be out the day after Pride for Salt Lake. So I have tomorrow off.
It won't be. It'll be 2 weeks off because I'm off by a week right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
Eventually, I'm going to catch up. But as of right now, this coming weekend will be. So as we record this on Monday, see, my favorite thing is Monsters will come out, and then we'll put this one out, and then I'm going to put Double out at some point in time this month.
We'll have
As
to
the
do
game
triple
plan.
one time because we still have Snagglepuss.
We could do that as well, yeah.
But anyway, so what I was saying was that I go back to work for one day, hit up Pride all weekend, and come back on Monday terribly sunburned in places that normally don't see the sun. And
Are you going to be one of those sparkle glitter Speedo men?
Didn't I send you the picture of what I'm wearing?
No. You told me you were going to wear something revealing, but you didn't send anything.
We have not seen a picture.
Oh, here, I'll text to the group. So Clark is very, very modest.
Listen to that group so she can see these horrible things too.
We do, yeah. So let's add her to the group too.
Okay.
Fuck me. No, so Clark's very, very modest. He won't even walk around the house with his shirt off if roommates are home. So this is about 2 weeks ago or so. He was kind of drunk, and he's like, "Hey, for Pride, so we have these little leather underwear things we got as a joke.
Yeah,
like they're kind of booty short type things." And we both have harnesses, so he's like, "We should just go in those in a harness." I'm like, "Okay, we can. I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with that." And he's like, "No, we should totally do it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I tried the underwear on; they didn't fit, so I went and ordered new underwear, which was cheap. And so the next day, he's like, "I don't know if we want to do that." I'm like, "Well, I've already paid $30 for the underwear, so now we're committed." So apparently, we're walking in the parade with my work, and then we will go to the thing. Wear all this stuff
Are
under
you
our clothes.
walking in this outfit for your work?
No, I'm not. I think I guess I probably could, but yes. Then we're gonna go there. We're gonna change into it, and then other thing is hey, if we feel uncomfortable, we can always put our clothes back on. But we've gotten some high marks from our friends.
Tell me, where is the glitter? Well, how much glitter?
There's no glitter.
Is the
There needs to be more glitter.
Craft.
It's true.
Oh, it really is.
It's drag herpes.
It's drag herpes. Wow, drag herpes. They're playing Warped Tour this summer.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of drag herpes, hi, welcome to episode 164 of the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. And guess what? It's Pride 3, Kissing in a Tree. I named that for you, Adam, by the way, because we did Pride 2, Electric Boogaloo, so it's
Yes.
Pride 3, Kissing in a Tree.
And next year it's going to be Pride 4, The Revenge.
The Revenge?
Yes.
The revenge of what?
I think it should be Pride 4, 1 inch more.
We're always hoping for 1 inch more. So
That's why I'm saying Pride 4, 1 inch more. Anyway.
I was
That's
gonna go-
why you
I
need
was
a
going-
trim, and you can get your optical inch.
Does that really work, Lena?
I'm sorry. I'm half listening to whatever you're talking about right now.
Then you probably just don't want to have an opinion on that then. We'll just say that.
Yeah, let's go with that. I like that.
Anyway. Yeah, so it's Pride 3, Kissing in a Tree. We are doing 4 books for Pride Month. Oh, hello, Adam and Clark.
Yeah.
Titties. Okay.
Titties. Pierce titties.
Adam just sent us a picture of what he's wearing to Pride. That's what I was just responding to. Anyway, so if you see Adam at Pride, you'll know what he's hanging out. So, yeah, moving on. I have so many questions, but I don't want to say any of them, at least not while being recorded. So, now that just derailed me quite a bit. This week we are doing...
You asked to see it.
Dude, that's fantastic.
I did ask to see it. I'm very proud of you. I'm excited for you, but I have questions.
Well, if one of the questions involves how often we use those,
Okay.
we don't. They've been in storage since like the day I
Okay,
got
that
it,
was one of my questions. So okay, now we know. Anyway, so we are reading Tillie Walden's On A Sunbeam, who, as Adam has pointed out earlier, will make us all feel completely inadequate in our life choices at this point in time. But we'll get into that later. So we have with us the man of the hour. It is his holiday. It's everyone's holiday, but we specifically celebrate it for Adam. We have Mr. Adam. Happy Pride, Mr. Adam.
Hi. So I wonder if one day it's like Pride is going to be like it is for St. Patty's Day, where like everyone's Irish for a day, like everyone's a fag for a day.
With you, I went to an LAFC game that was Pride themed, and it kind of was, to be honest with you. Everybody had a rainbow armband. It was, and I sent you that picture.
That's really cool.
It was actually kind of like, I mean, to be honest with you, the other thing too is MLS has a very large millennial following, so I feel like it's sort of more of a progressive thought process, at least in Southern California. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I mean, I wore a big old Pride armband through the whole thing. It's great. I still have it, actually. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, so like, I think you are not far off. I think there is a time where Pride will be like St. Patrick's Day, where everyone will be gay for a day.
Yeah, and Mike Pence can finally enjoy himself without Mother there.
Oh, lovely.
That'll be so good. And then I sent you guys the last RSL game I went to had a double rainbow in the middle of the game going on. That was awesome.
You were so
we know there's no apocalypse this year.
Because of the double rainbow?
Yeah, there's no apocalypse this year because of the double rainbow.
Is that Mormon doctrine?
No. Never mind.
Well, no, the rainbow was just that God wouldn't destroy the Earth with a flood again. Right. And also that he loves gay people no matter what the Christians say.
That's right.
It's also very true.
But anyways, so I'm Adam from Salt Lake. I am the reviews editor and head film critic for Big Shiny Robot. Also, sometimes figuring out what I'm doing with Andy Wilson over at the Bored as Hell podcast.
Hey, Andy.
We actually were going to do some stuff this month, but he's moving, so he's been, stuck in moving hell.
Sucks.
Is he just moving in town or bigger than that?
I think he's moving in town. Like, we talked a bit about it, but we haven't really connected too much in the last couple of weeks.
Hey, Andy, we love you. You need to come back on the show at some point in time.
We should do Andy month 2.
That's what, August?
Yeah, I think it's August.
We may have to do that because Andy picked some really good books for August, actually. I think that's when Lena started listening, isn't it?
No, I didn't start listening until like December.
Until Jason came out.
November, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I went back and I listened to all of the episodes, but
I can't remember. I got a lot of like text messages being like, "All the books this month are really awesome," and it was Andy Wilson month, so I don't remember who I got those from. But anyway,
it was probably Andy.
Andy texts me, "These are great books. Whoever picked these is amazing." Yeah, that sounds so much like Andy.
Yes, you are, Andy.
Yeah.
And then also you can find me on our sister podcast, Cinema Queens, with our good friend Chris.
Hi, Chris.
And we are still planning the crossover episode. I'm still waiting for him to get back to me on what book he wants to do. Obviously not this one. And I'm thinking for our crossover movie episode, maybe Deadpool 2 will be the best one. Because maybe we'll actually have a good... We'll finally have a good Deadpool thing on this.
I'm never going to live that down. So. I'm never going to live that down.
No, you're not.
Finally! Because it's terrible!
And of course,
yeah, it was a terrible book. I will admit that.
We should read Dead Presidents is the first Deadpool book I read that I loved. We should do that one. You didn't like that one,
that's the thing is you and Maya like Dugan's run on it, and I don't like Dugan's run on it. I like Way's run on it. But Way, like, there wasn't a good book for Way, I felt like, to jump in on that. Maybe Suicide Kings. Maybe. But I don't know.
Yeah. But I figured we could do that, or we could do Suicide Squad just so you can hear me rant about it for an hour and a half.
I mean, that could be fun as well.
You mean Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad?
Fuck you. Okay, that's enough about me. Blah, blah, blah.
Speaking of Oscar award-winning...
Hopefully I won't be sunburned.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, God.
Oh, someone already knows I'm about to mention them.
Yep.
Wow. No. Speaking of Oscar award winning, the award winner of our hearts, we have Elena.
Oh, that's so cute.
Nice. Good.
I know.
Also partially a Jason, but yeah.
I'm Elena. I'm an event manager out of the New York, Connecticut area. And again, I've realized how geeky all of the people in my life are.
So we sucked you in.
Yeah. I have.
Yeah.
You sound so happy
been told
about that.
that we need to liven it up a little bit, though, y'all.
Oh, we have. Oh, yeah. Are we too serious?
Oh yeah, just a little too. I mean, I guess it may have been the book that we were talking about wasn't super like lively.
Oh yeah.
But
what was that? My favorite thing is monsters.
No, it was the one before it. The Western one, whatever the hell.
Oh, that one was kind of depressing. Yeah, that was kind of depressing. But that was really dark.
Well, we've noticed before because we did like last March, I think it was. We did the biographies, and we had some really good episodes, but they were all about people dying of AIDS and horrible things. So we were just such downers for that. We're like, do we even do drinking games for this? That's kind of fucked up.
It was bad.
Every time someone dies of AIDS, take a drink. Okay.
It was like Rent, the drinking game. It was bad.
Everyone has AIDS.
Okay. Speaking of Academy Award winning, one of the Hollywood elite, Mr.
Groaning on the inside again.
What?
Groaning on the inside
Groaning
again.
on the inside. You're not groaning on the outside?
No.
Groaning on the inside, we have Mr. Jason. Hello, Mr. Jason.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason, writer in Los Angeles, back to being temporarily unemployed. And so here is your weekly WGA update. It looks like negotiations between the WGA and the ATA are scheduled to resume again on June 7th. That being said, it doesn't appear that either side is any closer to reaching a deal, with both sides reportedly still in disagreement over packaging fees and agency affiliations with related production entities. So stay tuned. We'll find out together if the agencies actually come to their senses or if these uncharted waters of mostly unrepresented writers stretch further out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there still mixers going on?
There are occasionally, yes.
And actually, I do have a question for you, Jason.
Yeah.
So I know, like, my experience with strikes is very limited. Like when the grocery stores had a strike back, like in 2002, I had some friends who worked for them, and of course, you had people who were crossing the line to go work. So are there scabs in the writing world as well?
Well, technically, this isn't really a strike, but there are writers who have decided not to fire their agents. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's all about whether or not they'll fire their agents or not.
Most of them have, but it's at this point, it's whether or not most of the agencies will respect the WGA's demand that they not engage in conflict of interest practices.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm required by law to follow up Jason with Todd. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how's it going? I'm glad you are a law-abiding citizen.
For now, but and the pre-recording before Lena joined us again, we were discussing breaking laws, but we won't publish that. But anyway.
So that's why laws are there to break, right? That's kind of the point.
Sure.
So, hey, I'm Todd. I'm here in Salt Lake, chilling with Adam. We keep trying to have lunch with Adam, but Todd goes, work's tough, sorry. And Adam understands.
Well, and we did have our mandate for John Wick 3.
Dude, that movie is the shit. But I will say...
I saw it again in IMAX since then.
Watching it, going, I covered my crotch a few times during that movie. There was a lot of crotch shots.
Yeah, when you get to see it at home, every time a dog bites a guy in the dick, take a drink.
Yeah, that or you can go see it at Broobies.
Yes.
Oh, is it a Broobies?
I don't know if it is a Broobies. I'm just assuming it will be at some point in time. Dude,
you'd get really drunk if you were taking a drink every time a dog bit a dick in that flick.
Or every time someone goes through a plane of glass.
Yeah, there's a lot of broken glass. But that movie was awesome. So I'm here in Salt Lake, and you can find me on this podcast. Hey.
Yeah.
What's up?
We have another one that we've been terrible at doing. Well, maybe we'll get back to it. I don't know.
We need to, just for your mother's sake.
I know, my poor mom. But thank God she doesn't listen to this one.
No kidding.
Anyway, I was like, she might be okay with Pride Month. So far, the books are very nice and sweet. But we've only read one of them, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, hey, I'm Brian. I'm a sound designer based in Southern California and a grad student at the University of Denver. I'll be sound designing. Actually, I'm at the end of next week. So actually, probably, depending on when we record, maybe not this next episode, but the episode after, we'll probably be able to do mostly live episodes. Probably with Lena and Jason being the only ones who are not live with us on. But I'll actually be in Utah, I guess, is more of what it will be. And then I've already got an email asking if I'll be at FanX. So apparently I'm going to be at FanX. So there's that as well. So, yeah. Anyway, book intro. On a Sunbeam is a, space story about... space story about a young couple who meets in school. And then it also follows one of the couple, half the couple as she is actually on a space team to rebuild different... locations across the galaxy, and then ends up finding out that those people on that space station could potentially help her go get her girlfriend back. Is that actually, I might have ruined the plot a little bit in that one, haven't I?
Nah, go for it.
That works, yeah.
Okay, so I might have...
No, it's pretty much, that's pretty basic.
Okay.
I think you kind of know what's going on from the beginning. So.
Okay, so I didn't totally spoil it, but anyway, that's what's going on. So they kind of split up the timelines, they kind of flash back and forth and that kind of stuff, but yeah, that's the general gist of it. So, Mr. Todd, what is the myification for this book?
The myification for this book is it's space opera without all the space, without all the opera.
Space opera without opera?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. It's a nice little coming-of-age story.
Yeah.
Without any grandioseness to it, really.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, then let's jump into votes as to whether or not we believe it is worth you, our dear listeners, hard-earned time, money, and effort to go and find this book and read it. What is your vote, Lena?
Yeah.
Mr. Todd?
Nah.
Oh, really? Okay. Jason?
Yes.
I'm a yes. And Mr. Adam?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So we all have one. Meh. Interesting. We'll get into that. Meow. So let's jump into drinking games. What is your drinking game, Mr. Todd? Because I don't quite understand how anyone's going to be able to do this. But go ahead.
So the name of this drinking game is Tim Sell's Queer Child. Every time Todd is reminded of Tim Sell's artwork, combined with a bit of Studio Ghibli, you need to take a drink. So what you need to do is my unreleased Twitter ID. Just go ahead and I will post going, this looks like Tim Sell's artwork. You need to take a drink.
So wait, so you're going to post on a Twitter account that no one knows about that it looks like Tim Sell's
artwork.
It's like Schrodinger's Twitter account. It may or may not exist. You don't know.
So you may or may not be drunk.
You may or may not be taking a drink.
That's right, but you probably are.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need a drink after that. So I'm going to go with flying fish. Every time that there is a spaceship that looks like a fish, take a drink. What is your drinking game, Ms. Lena?
It's funny. Mine actually is a lot like it. It's Go Fish. Anytime you see a fish swimming through space, drink.
Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. We lined those up pretty well. It's almost like we planned that, which we actually, oddly enough, didn't. Normally we do.
Well, that's why I'm glad you're in the group chat now, because we always bounce rules off, and all of a sudden I'll be like, God damn it, Brian, I was doing that rule.
I know. It's also part of the game of trying to read the book fast enough so you can post it, so that you get your drinking game rule first.
Lay claim.
Yeah, lay claim. Yeah. It's like the gold rush. It's really interesting. It's like, ooh, I got this rule in. So, speaking of gold rush, Mr. Jason, what is yours?
My rule is called Jules. Anytime the character of Jules overreacts, take a drink.
Awesome. And Mr. Adam?
Mine's called Let's Do the Time Warp Again. Every time the timeline jumps around.
Oh, that's evil. It's a little evil.
See, I'd also call that The Godfather Part 2.
Oh, I wouldn't know that, would I?
Oh. Anyway, I don't know if that was on this part of the recording. The other one. Oh, no, it was on this part of the recording. Anyway.
It was on this one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so we have some drinking game rules. We need some music to be able to put on in the background. I'm going to start out with Incubus's Wish You Were Here. Mr. Adam, I know, has another Incubus song. What is your song for the playlist, sir?
So mine's Incubus, I Miss You.
Okay. Madam Elena, what is your song? I'm just kidding. Keep changing it every time.
Okay, so I have two because one is Asleep on a Sunbeam by Belle and Sebastian, and that is what the title of the book is based on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Per the author. And then mine is Stellar from Incubus.
Oh my god.
Mr. Todd, what Incubus song did you pick for the playlist?
I did not pick an Incubus song.
Shame.
I know. No, I did Starman by David Bowie.
Oh yeah, man. Mr. Jason, what hipster band did you pick?
I actually was thinking about an Incubus song before you guys started to chime in with yours. So I did decide to do something a little bit more obscure. It's called On the Flip Side by Looper. And pretty much any song off of their album, The Geometrid, would fit the weird sort of cosmic aesthetic of the book.
Okay. I was hoping you'd come with an Incubus song, though, but that would be kind of awesome. But
I can name one.
I'm sure you have the capability of doing so. Fantastic. Oh, speaking of which, okay. So I'm gonna poll the audience here, or at least everybody who's listening here. So I'm doing a
raise your hands.
Raise your hands, everybody. I am doing a sound design for a show, and one part of the show takes place in 2009. So I was looking at the Billboard 2009 top list, and I need a obnoxious ringtone for like a really obnoxious real estate agent. And the number one song that year was the Black Eyed Peas' Boom Boom Pow, and I'm thinking that is the perfect ringtone for an obnoxious real estate agent.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Oh god, that song is such a pain in the ass to listen to.
Okay, see, I think that's perfect. Todd?
Well, it's between that and My Humps.
Yeah, but like I just thought like that coming out of a phone would just be truly obnoxious, so that was kind of what I went with.
You could do like a Will Ferrell statement from the movie Elf.
Okay.
I'm in a store and I'm singing really loud.
Yeah.
No, I wanted. I mean, here's the thing. The audience for this will not be young enough to get those references. It's how it is. It's theater in Utah. Everybody's old.
It's 2000. Is Eminem still producing hits?
Not really. Like he is, yes, but like the highest charting song he had was like down in like the 30s.
Well, wasn't that when he was like really big, battling with addiction, and like that's when Elton John like saved his life?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got really bad into like drugs, alcohol, all that kind of fun stuff, and
he was quite the pill popper.
Yeah, he was a recluse for years, and Elton John went and like called him. He's like, "Listen, bitch, I know what you're going through because I did the same thing in the 70s and 80s, which why I'm really excited to go see Rocket Man because I had to miss the screening, which apparently is getting like all the buzz and best picture and all that fun stuff." But Elton John went to him and was like, "Look, I'm going to help you get sober," and so that's how they became friends and why they started performing together. But yeah, Elton John saved Eminem's life.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
He actually did the same thing with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, did he? I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm. When Robert Downey Jr. got out of jail and he was having all kinds of issues, he did the same thing and helped Robert Downey Jr. get clean.
So basically,
Robert Downey Jr.'s issue was black tar heroin.
That's a fucking issue, is what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, if it wasn't for Elton John, we wouldn't have Endgame.
That is true.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or more importantly, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but that's a different story.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is awesome. Anyway.
Yeah.
I love
cool.
that movie.
Well, I think it is time for some cocktails. Lena, what is your cocktail for this week?
I have the Stargazer wine cocktail.
Ooh.
So it's 2 ounces of Chardonnay, 1 ounce of dark rum, a half ounce of vanilla syrup, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, and 1 lime wedge. So I'm going to get super hipster here with it. You're going to fill a mason jar cocktail shaker. And it says that in the directions. With ice, you add the Chardonnay, the rum, the vanilla syrup, and the pineapple juice. Shake and strain into a glass, and then garnish with the lime wedge.
That sounds tasty. That's like a lovely little thing.
That does.
Okay. So I haven't tried this, to be honest with you. I'm going to just recommend it because it's based out of our home state of Utah. Well, at least more than 50% of our home states of Utah. So it's called Underground Herbal Spirit. It's by Ogden's Own Distillery, but it's supposed to be like a digestif. But at one point in time in this book, they go underground, and that's where the reference is. So I'm just calling it the Underground. But yeah, so have a little bit of a local Utah distillery.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. So
have you had it?
Yeah, it's similar to like a Jägermeister, but without that really the anise flavor is not quite nearly as strong. So
gotcha. Okay. See, Adam will vouch for me. Mr. Adam, what is your cocktail?
Yeah, so mine's called the Second Winter. You're going to take a chilled martini glass. You're going to rim it with salt, but don't dip it in lime juice. Just use water or whatever you want. You're going to take an ice-filled shaker, add 2 ounces of rum chata, 1 ounce of caramel vodka. You shake the shit out of it. You strain it into the martini glass, and then if you want to, you can add a little squirt of like caramel topping sauce in the bottom.
Okay. Very cool.
That sounds so sweet.
That's why I'm not going to have it, because it's too sweet. It's too much sugar.
That is so sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Mr. Todd?
I'm just going with classic gimlet. So it's 2 ounces of gin with an ounce of sweetened lime juice. So you combine the gin and the lime juice into a shaker. You shake the shit out of it and strain it into a cocktail glass, and you put a lemon wedge there.
Okay.
And that's it.
And Mr. Jason?
Mine is called the Pink Sky. You take 1 ounce gin, preferably lime flavored, half a cup of ginger ale, a quarter cup of cranberry juice, and changing it up slightly from when I just last sent it to you. Instead of lime slice and sugar, just do a lime slice and a maraschino cherry. Pour the ingredients into a glass over ice, stir gently, and then add the lime slice and cherry for some sort of cosmic garnish, and drink to enjoy.
Cosmic garnish.
One looks like a planet, one looks like the rings.
I gotcha. Okay.
That's awesome. So I actually bought a jar of the Luxardo maraschino cherries, and those are a revelation.
Are they?
And yeah, you look at the bottle, and it's like a small 4 ounce bottle, and it's like $30, and you're like, fuck. And then you just buy it because they say this is it, and you're like, oh, I understand.
Oh, really? It makes that much of a difference?
Were those ones from Boostique?
I got this one at Tony Caputo's.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're the real maraschino cherry maraschino. I don't know. I'm not Italian. Is incredibly different than your typical, red food colored cherry that you would put in.
Lena, as
They're
the
really quite
Italian on the
amazing.
podcast, would you like to verify how we should say that?
I'm sorry, I'm eating halfway through this.
I know
To say what?
No, that's why I gave you. I had you do your cocktail first, so you'd have enough time to eat. To food.
Thank you.
To eat.
I do appreciate that, because otherwise I would not be here right now.
Yeah, you'd be starving to. No, but how do you say? Is it maraschino cherries?
Yes, it's maraschino.
Maraschino. Okay.
Say we have.
But the real deal maraschino cherries are amazing.
Yes, because it's I have no idea how it's spelled. That's the whole thing. How is it spelled?
Maraschino.
Oh, no. The CH is CC is cha, CI is C. So I think it's just maraschino. Yeah.
I'm Googling it as we go.
Google that shit.
Maraschino.
Yeah, let me see if I can play it if you can hear it.
Dude.
Maraschino. Yeah.
Maraschino.
So it is maraschino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got that all taken care of. Awesome.
There we go.
So, yeah. Do we have any final warnings before we go into this book?
So I sat down and read this through all at once. I was not going to, because it is 500 some odd pages long.
Yeah.
That being said, I think I read it in about 2 hours, but it doesn't feel nearly as long as the one from last week. And but I would recommend spacing it out if you can, because this was a 30-part or 20-part webcomic that came out a couple years ago. They made into graphic novel form. So it's kind of one of those things that you want to read a bit, think about it for a while, and go back to it. But I mean, if you want to, you can do it all in one sitting,
I read it in about 100-page chunks is what I ended up doing.
The webcomic still exists. It's actually how I read it.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so every chapter is its own little button that you go through. It made it a lot easier to read through because it's set up to be that kind of webcomic experience. And I thought it was so much easier to read than when I was looking at it through the book.
Huh. Okay.
Huh.
I'll have to check that.
I didn't know that, because I just got it.
So do you have the book of it?
I did. I don't have it in front of me, but when I was searching, all of a sudden, I Googled it and the webcomic came up, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Spend money? I didn't have to spend money. What the hell?
And then there's a whole. That's how I found out about the song from Belle and Sebastian, was because the author wrote this whole thing on how she wrote it, and so the reason it feels so. We can get into it, but yeah. it's really, really, I was happy that I found the webcomic.
Okay. I think that will give us a good spot to break. We'll play an ad, hopefully the right one this month, because I fucked it up a little bit.
Yay!
If I don't know the ad, I just play this one for Cinema Queens.
Oh, really?
Which we actually need to re-record because we have new members now.
Oh, for this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do. We need to update that. We also need to get Maya to show up for something. We love you, Maya. Show the fuck up. Anyway.
We love you, Maya.
You owe me money, Maya.
Yeah. Anyway. You owe me money, too. No, I don't know if you owe me money. So, yeah. Anyway. So, we will take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to spoil the shit out of it. And a lot of us did actual research on this book, so we have interesting things to say about it, which is kind of fun, actually. So we will see you on the flip side.
While we take a break, here is a message from one of our fellow Hello Sweetie Network podcasts.
Now, sissy that wow.
Hey there! Are you queer or some variation of it? Well, I'm Chris, and this is my co-host,
Adam, and welcome to Cinema Queens, where we talk about queer cinema.
Each week, we watch beloved queer classics, discuss them, review them,
And cover a whole cluster of topics from our favorite scenes,
what they mean to us,
how it relates to our current world,
and the best part, the cherry on top of the sundae, happens to be...
gay rants!
So prepare your ear holes!
And listen to us Queens talk cinema. New episodes drop every Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Bye-bye!
Is there anything that I didn't cover that you would like to expand on in this spoiler
Not
section?
really. I mean, girl gets out of high school, gets a job, and then goes and reconnects with her long-lost girlfriend. That's kind of the whole plot.
Yeah. It's about love and second chances, which is kind of sweet.
And the erasure of gender roles, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting thing to talk about. So there are no men in this book other than a male.
Not even mentioned.
Yeah, not even mentioned. Like, I kind of loved it, like, for me, because it wasn't like a big deal kind of thing where it was like, well, what are your moms going to say? Like, it was just like everything was just sort of assumed that it was very normal that there were no men in this entire world, which I was totally fine with. It was kind of interesting.
I didn't pick up on it until like chapter 10 or 11, where I was like, what is going on here? I haven't seen one man.
Yeah.
And then when I was on the website, I like clicked back over to her kind of bio that she has, and she even has in there, she's like, there's no men. Did you catch that?
That's funny.
When I first read through it, I thought Elliot was a guy because they were she's non-binary, and then for a while there I was wondering if there was if they were trans, but then on her website she kind of did specify that they were non-binary. So like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it was so at first I didn't realize that until their new captain misgenders them, and they're like, oh, it's them, this and that, blah blah blah. And that's when it kind of hit me that, oh yeah, there are no men. Because to be honest, I really didn't miss them.
No, I mean, it wasn't a thing. I mean, and I guess for me, it was one of those things where it's like, I understand the representation matters for those who are not represented. As someone who is represented, I didn't miss not being represented in this book. I felt like it was more important to have representation than to have, like, I mean, I still identified with the characters and still really enjoyed it, you know?
Can you tell that to Star Wars fans?
Yeah, well... I'll be honest with you, like, I'm a horrible person, but I went to a preview of Star Wars Land, and it made me question whether or not I was a Star Wars fan, because I didn't like it. I got bored and left early. I had 4-hour increment, and I left after 2 hours because I got bored, because it just was super expensive. But anyway, that's a totally different issue.
Well, yeah, you can spend $25,000 on an R2-D2.
I fucking saw that thing. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I thought this is a joke, right? $25,000. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like,
they will sell those nonstop all day,
Does it
every
do
day.
your laundry?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
No, but it'll blow you.
here's the thing that pissed me off is I built this little droid, and I tried to build a murder droid from the comic book series. That's what I ended up doing. But the thing is, so you spend $100 to build this thing, but you only are limited to whatever shows up on the conveyor belt. So I couldn't build it exactly as I wanted to. And I'm like, for $100, I want to build it exactly as I want to. Also, the thing has Bluetooth technology in it, but it can't act as a Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, fuck you. Like, really? Like, at least it'd be useful when I take it home. Right now, it's basically just a remote control car. So anyway, that's my whole rant on Star Wars. We won't get into that. What we're talking about is On A Sunbeam. So no men representation. Adam, do you want to mention why we all feel completely inadequate by this book?
Oh yeah, so the author of this book, she is like 22, maybe 23 years old, and I mean this thing has won awards. This is like her 5th or 6th graphic novel. And Todd, you said she has her master's degree, right?
No, I read that she has her master's degree.
Oh, you read that.
Yeah, it's in the back of this book. She's also a graduate from the Center of Cartoon Studies, a comics MFA program in Vermont.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I have 2 podcasts, one of which I bitch about comic books, the other one I talk about microwave comics. Yeah. So I just have everything going for me.
Hey, you have more podcasts than some people.
It's a choice.
Not everyone knows if that's a good thing or not. So
anyway,
well, if it makes you feel any better, she got crummy grades in science.
Yeah. Well,
what she said on her website on the webcomic website. So that's why I thought it was funny.
No, it doesn't make me feel better. But yeah, and the other thing I loved about this was despite the fact, there's no men in it, so women are running everything, and as was mentioned, it's like, oh hey, what will our moms think, or this and that, and it never seemed like a weird or an odd thing, and that might be because I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Republican or something like that, but it was also cool to see that it didn't matter and didn't feel weird that we had women in traditionally masculine roles, as far as like, because no matter what happens, sometimes people, when you say, oh who's the principal of your school, you automatically think, oh, it's Mr. So-and-so. It just, that pops in your head, because since I was a kid growing up, that was always kind of the man's role, even though it doesn't need to, it could be anyone's role. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
I'd like to mention that there's a principal who is the wife of a certain member of this podcast.
Yes, exactly. So
my wife.
Yeah, do we lose him? My wife.
I'm right here.
But no, I mean, there's
yeah.
Okay, you're quiet, and it just there seems like there are some things like that people automatically assume are a male or female job, which isn't the case. It's just the way society kind of has made it seem that way. And so it was just great to have this book where the captain of the ship, the principal, the person running the crew, they're all women, and it made sense. It wasn't like, oh well, if there's something missing. It was like, no, this is a perfect way to have it in this world, and we should have more of this in our world too. Because I know my work is, I think on the whole management team, we've got like 1 female manager, 2 female managers of like 10, and it's like we need more than that. I mean, we need other voices coming in, and we need people who have different experiences and different things to bring to the table, which is why so many places say that diversity is so important. They sometimes they mean it, sometimes they say it just for a soundbite. But you need to get these unique viewpoints, and that's why I'm glad Elena's on here, because she brings something to the table that none of us can. I come here as gay guy, so I have a different way of viewing things, but there's things I can never understand or see from a different viewpoint because I got a dick. So.
Well, speaking to that, I don't have a dick.
What?
I know. You're so surprised. It's funny because most of my friends are men, so it didn't really hit me until I got older about the whole representation thing. It just never really hit me. And with this book, it like I said, I didn't realize until halfway through it that there were no men, and when I had realized it, I was like, that's cool. And then I just kept reading. Like she wrote it in such a way that you're not losing anything from it. It didn't affect anything. It was just literally a world without men, and that was it. And it's
not even a plot point. Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't like in Why the Last Man, where the first book starts out with everyone dying. Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, what's this? There's one man left. It's like, no, just in this world, that's how it is, and you don't even question it. Like Lena said, like, oh, I just realized this. Okay, moving on, next page. It wasn't a big deal.
So I thought that was so interesting, and then reading what the author had to say was she wrote it in a place. She wrote it where there were queer characters and no men, and it was to be like a place that she wanted to live in. So it was just interesting to then go back and read the last half of the book with kind of her viewpoint while I started reading it, and it still didn't take anything away from it. It was just so interesting because it's not like all conflict is gone. It's not like this perfect utopia like a lot of women like to say it would be.
Uh-huh.
It just there are no men.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can we do this with our government?
Yes, please.
So, Todd, as the art fan of this book, other than it's reminding you of Tim Sale's and Studio Ghibli, what were your thoughts on this?
So this book came out, they said the webcomic came out like the fall of 2017 through the spring of 2018. So she produced 528 pages in 6 months' time.
Yeah, it is.
My God, that's a lot of work, right? So she wrote, drew, and color everything. It's all her, start to finish, and the lettering.
Well, she had a bunch of free time in between making all those sandwiches.
Oh, jeez. Lena, if you were here, you could hit him.
I'm sorry. Just be happy that I literally had food in my mouth and I couldn't like make a snarky comment.
No, I wish you could have. That would have been amazing. Actually, I said it specifically hoping you would make a snarky comment.
Listen, I don't, not to sit here and say I'm not a good cook, but that's more like making sauce and meatballs. Definitely not sandwiches. And you can ask Jason for that specifically.
Ask Jason for sandwiches, or ask Jason if you can make sandwiches?
Both.
Okay. Jason, get in the kitchen, make me a sandwich.
There's a really great meme, and like
Get your own sandwich.
it's two panels, and on one of them you see two gay guys making out. On the right one, you see two lesbians making out, and on the gay side, it's like, oh my God, I wish we had sandwiches. And then the lesbians are like, oh my God, what are we going to do with all these sandwiches? Anyways, Todd, I didn't mean to overrule you. Continue.
So, but she put out she was very busy, and she put the work out. And what was interesting, it's got a very loose style to it, and I did enjoy it. With my drinking game, it's very reminiscent of Tim Sale to me, as you look at it. And I think it's the coloring as much as the line work. It was expressive at times. I was having some trouble with character differentiation of who are we looking at the particular moment. It got better for me, but it took a little while for me to get used to. But what I really did enjoy were the blocks of color of things going on. So as the resident colorblind guy, I always go back to color, don't I?
Yeah, you do. That's why I brought it up.
So, but the color is really cool. And as you're watching with this world, I mean, it's a world without men. It's also a world where you can just breathe in space and no bother. I mean, it's her world. She'll do what she wants. But you've got all this black, which she uses so well, and it's flecked with stars, and then it's seas of reds and oranges, or you've got these dark, rich blues, and then you've got a fish that's just kind of swimming through space. That's the starship. And what's interesting, it's got some sweet whimsy of itself going on, and it's there's definitely conflict in it, but it's not your typical story arc of conflict as okay. So it's still, you've got her going through school, and then it's a dual story of 5 years later, and she is working away, rebuilding old structures, and doesn't necessarily say it's just kind of an interesting thing to watch, and you're trying to watch these two stories, and you're wondering how they're going to tie together at the end. And you do get this climatic ending, which she did a pretty good job on. But there's a lot of meandering in it as well. And I just got a little bit, I guess, there was a lot of smelling the roses time, and I stopped caring.
Oh, really? Okay. That's why you're the meh on it, is just the wandering nature of some of it.
Right. I mean, the art's very solid, and I think that's really good. And the story's fine, but obviously, as she did this quickly.
Yeah.
As she was pushing this out. And I think in some ways it could have used tightening up.
Okay.
And it's just so open and everything that it's 500 pages. I think it would have been a better 300-page book.
Okay. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm exactly with Todd, and I really, really did like this book. And, I didn't know it was epic until like 2 days ago when I was going to order it. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is over 500 pages long. And I couldn't find it digitally, so I was like, if it ships and gets here on Thursday, I'm going to have to like sit down and cram. But no, I'm with Todd, is that one of my biggest complaints when I'm reviewing movies is that it needs an editor. And this needed to be shortened to maybe 15 or fewer issues or episodes from the web series. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it was fantastic. The characters jump off the page. They seem real. But yeah, I'm with Todd as far as it's a bit too long. And I kind of found the ending a little bit off. Like the actual end was good, but the whole time they're on the staircase and like the Jules has that vision and all that weird shit happens, that just kind of seemed like it went off the rails and wasn't really properly explained as far as what was where this mythos came from. But that was like really my only complaints about the writing, at least. So,
Mr. Jason, what are your thoughts on the writing?
So I actually appreciated the pacing because it gave us a sense to breathe with the characters, and sort of agreeing with Todd early on, it was somewhat difficult to discern which character was speaking when, because they have some somewhat slightly similar hairstyles, and the colors can blend a little bit, but the pacing actually helped me to differentiate between them all, because then you got a sense of Jules' sort of rambunctious, rowdy nature, Char's sort of quiet leadership, and Alma's determined, hard-nosed attitude, and then Mia's quiet resilience and her relationship with Grace as it grew when they're in school, and eventually including some of those side characters. For me, the pacing just helped to see the characters actually live and breathe in a way that almost felt like it was a season-long show on television.
So, question for you. What was your method of reading this? Did you read it in one sitting? Was it over?
I read it in a few different sittings. The last one was was half of it consecutively.
I read it that way as well, and I think also because of the webcomic nature of it, I'm sure the way that it was published, it probably made a lot of sense. But like, I can see both sides of the coin of wanting to trim it down for the published version of it, but also wanting to hold everything there. I'm kind of with Jason. I kind of like the meandering nature of it. It did help sort of differentiate where you were and what characters you were, and also just sort of there's some of these sweet, quiet, tender moments in it that I really enjoyed that I think that might have been lost if the pacing was too heavy and too fast, I guess is my sort of thought on that.
Well, the pacing also fit like on the act. Like if you read it from the webcomic kind of standpoint, I didn't think it was too long or anything. It did feel like the ending, everything just all of a sudden happened, and then it was like, okay, happy ending, done. So you go through this like long sweeping thing, and then it was like she wanted to end it with 20 chapters, and so that last chapter was just very jarring for me, at least. But the way that if you read because I ended up reading most of it on the webcomic once I found it, it just it fit that setup much better, I think, than reading it in the book. Okay.
Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts that they want to get off their chest?
I do want to bring to attention the speech that Jules makes to their temporary substitute boss, Joe.
Yeah, I wanted to make note of that as well. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, because it feels like one of the biggest emotional moments for the writer, especially. So to set it up for the listener who hasn't read it. At one point through the present storyline, Mia goes exploring in a ruined building and causes some damage to occur, for which Char has to write a report, and Char ends up getting suspended. So the team has to deal with his new boss, Joe, and Joe is just kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
And when the team decides they've had enough and want to help Mia on her quest to go talk to Grace, Jules stands up to Joe and tells her to go fuck herself in the most beautiful way possible in defense of Elliot and Joe not remembering to use the proper pronouns. And so this is part of that. And she says, you don't get to decide what's important for us. You can choose for yourself, but no one else. When you choose not to respect us, when you chose not to respect us, we chose not to respect you. The fact that you expect people to you shit on to treat you nicely shows just how delusional you are. And then Joe says something dismissive, like it's just pronoun. And Jules continues, have you ever even considered that something that's trivial to you could mean so much more to someone else? You don't get to take the easy road out and just respect the parts of people that you recognize. And pro tip, if you find yourself in a similar situation in the future where you're surrounded by people you don't understand, try listening. It'll work a lot better for you than talking.
That's a great little speech in there for sure. And I think also has a lot of it almost feels like it was written like on a day where she had like a run-in with someone who was being an asshole, and it was like, okay, I'm going to write this thing in. This is everything I wanted to say to that person, and I wasn't able to say at that time, or you know what I mean?
Or it's something that happened to her years previously, and it just stuck with her as something that she needed to say in that moment, but couldn't find the right words.
Yeah. Or maybe said that exactly that way and felt the way to reiterate it, again. But that moment, I entirely understand. Like I kind of earmarked that as well as being a pivotal highlight of the book, for me at least. So
that was actually one of my favorite parts of that book too.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there I'm outside on my patio, like, because, it was nice outside, like pumping my fist in the air, and my neighbors are giving me weird looks. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's such an uplifting, empowering moment.
Yeah.
And the whole book to me feels a lot like that, because the characters, as difficult as it is to discern them early on, they become individuals in their own right with their own strengths and weaknesses and things they care for at the end. And I did appreciate the ending, how it all has those characters go through their own climactic journey. And you reveal more about each character and what their strengths are and what they've been battling against this entire time. And it's really well done.
Very cool. Anybody have anything else?
No, I think we can go to grades.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's jump into grades. We will start out with self-contained. Yeah, for a long, epic webcomic, how much of this do you feel like was self-contained? We'll start with you, Lena.
A.
Mr. Jason.
Hey.
Mr. Todd.
Hey.
Mr. Adam.
Hey!
I'll go with the A's as well. For writing, for Tillie Walden. These are all for Tillie Walden, but that's okay. For writing for Tillie Walden, what is your grade, Mr. Jason?
It's an A for me, hands down.
Mr. Todd.
I give it a B. She found her voice stronger waiting on, but I just think they could have used an editor more than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mademoiselle Lena.
I said B+, and I agree with you, Todd. I thought she really kept my interest, but she was all over the place at the beginning.
Mr. Adam.
I'm going to go with a B+. The writing for me was a little bit off. Well, not off, but it was like, that was the only thing I really had a problem with. Just because, as Todd said, it kind of meanders a bit. I wasn't a big fan of like the issue before the ending, but aside from that, it was good. So,
and I'll go with Jason. I'm going to go with an A. I actually really liked it. Then for art, for Tillie Walden, what is your grade, Mr. Adam?
I'm going to go with an A. The art was definitely the best part of this book. As Todd mentioned, it was very reminiscent of like Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, and I absolutely loved every page. Just even the use of color specifically. Every time that they're in normal time, it's a very bright palette with oranges and reds. And then whenever she's back at school, the boarding school, it's all very dark blues or light blues, and it's very a cool palette. So even if you don't want to read the story, for some reason it doesn't interest you, this book has amazing artwork and can be thoroughly enjoyed just for that.
Cool. Mr. Todd.
I'll give it an A- on the art. I really enjoyed it. I thought she did great.
I'm gonna give it an A- as well. I really loved it. I think it's really fun, and I think it fits sort of the intimate sort of style of her story. Mr. Jason.
It's an A for me as well. It's sort of quiet and unassuming at times, but it grew on me the more and more I got to experience the world and the splashes of color and the sort of subtle emotions on the faces.
Okay, and Fräulein Elena.
I said A. We haven't talked about it, but chapter 6 was all just art.
Yeah.
So I loved that.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was just a full. Yeah, that's right.
There was no writing or anything,
yeah.
and it felt very telling a story without any words. It reminded me very much of like what Pixar does really well. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was great. So yeah, A.
Cool. So then for final grades, we'll stay with you, Lena.
I said A. I really liked it. Like a lot.
Okay. I'm also going to stick with an A. I actually really liked it. Mr. Todd.
B+. It was well done, but, could use some work.
Mr. Adam.
I'm going to go with an A-. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I didn't know much about it. I just kind of, for Pride Month, I was doing some research, and this is one that kept on popping up over and over again. And I think it's a great way to kick things off for the month, because you've got diversity, inclusion. We have people of color in here, not just women, obviously with a woman-centric book. I like the way that it played with gender roles and made you realize that, guess what, women and men are the same, and you're not having men around, you don't miss them. So again, let's do that to our government and get Elizabeth Warren or someone in there.
Nice.
But no, it's a great book. I highly recommend it, and it's great that it's available online. Lena, was it free for the webcomic?
It was. It's still free.
Yeah, or it's not that expensive if you want to help support the author. That's going to help put some money in her pocket, and she definitely deserves it. And the fact that she's only 22, what's coming next? That she's got a whole career ahead of her, and I think she's just going to do fantastic things. And who knows? Maybe you'll see her up there with the Chip Zdarsky's and Hickmans one day. You never know.
Yep.
Or Gail Simone.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And Mr. Jason.
It's another easy A featuring Emma Stone for me. And like Lena said, Chapter 6, in which there are no words, is a perfect lesson in how to tell a story.
That gives us a 3.8 grade point average, which is just above an A-.
Go Tillie.
Go Tillie. That's a pretty darn good grade for a book on our show. Well, so next week we will be doing a much shorter than this week book called Moonstruck by Grace Ellis and SHAE Beagle. Let's see. I have not read any of this. I just picked it up. It looks like it has some sort of witchcrafty kind of vibe to it. Looks kind of fun. Like, I mean,
yeah. Well, except we're going in 100% blind on every single one this month.
That's true. It's we got nothing, so we'll be surprised with you. But the art looks cool. Is
this the same author as Lumberjanes?
It looks like Lumberjanes, but I don't think that's the same author as Lumberjanes, is it?
Okay.
Oh wait, no, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, coffee-laden adventure from Lumberjanes creator Grace Ellis.
There we go.
And talented newcomer SHAE Beagle. Well done, Jason.
Yay! I know things.
Wow.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay!
Well, then that's going to be fun because I love Lumberjanes. So now I'm really excited about this. This will be great. Okay. Cool. So that's what we'll be reading next month. Does anybody have any recommendations they want to jump in with?
A couple years ago, I picked up the PlayStation VR because I wanted to try out some stuff. And it was pretty cool, a little bit limited. And then I was doing some reviews, some research, and Oculus, who's now owned by Facebook apparently, they kind of were the one who pioneered the new VR gaming for computers, and PCs, and everything else. The problem is you got wires attached to you, got to set up a camera, the resolution's not that great. But they came out with this new one called the Oculus Quest, which is a completely wireless headset and controllers, like these little hand things, that you just you link to your phone just so it can hop online to make sure that you bought the apps and everything. And it's a fully wireless VR experience that there's still some room to grow and get better with like the resolution and other things, but this is the new future of VR where you don't need this $1,000 computer to enjoy yourself. So I picked it up. The two games I can highly recommend. The first one is called Beat Saber. It's like if Dance Dance Revolution but with lightsabers.
Okay.
You're in VR and these blocks coming at you and they're different colors. You have to hit them the right way with the right colored lightsaber. The only drawback with the Oculus Quest is that on the PC, on the Steam version, they have a level editor, so people have got all these songs you can download for free. Like you can do the Power Rangers theme song if you want to. So you don't have that freedom, unfortunately. But this is the game that if someone's like, "Hey, I've never tried VR," this is the game you want to show them because it's fucking amazing. You get a good workout on the higher difficulty levels. Like it's gonna fuck you up. And then the other one I picked up was announced at Star Wars Celebration was Vader Immortal. So this one is, I think it's gonna be a 5-part series. And you strap it on, you're a smuggler, you get taken to Mustafar and you have to escape because Vader wants you to do something. And you literally feel like you are in Star Wars. Like this is what I've been waiting for my entire life. I guess it's actually a sequel, Brian, to that what's the one? It's down where in Southern California? It's the Void does it?
Yeah, the Void, it's on it's at downtown Disney. I've taken Todd to it.
Yeah. So this is the sequel to that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and I mean, the episode's only about 40 minutes long, but I mean, you literally, you're having to climb up ladders. You learn how to use a lightsaber, how to deflect beams back at stormtroopers. You feel like you're in Star Wars, and it's absolutely fantastic. So, if you haven't gotten it yet, it's sold out everywhere. So, good luck trying to find one. You can order it and get it shipped to you like in a month. But Oculus Quest, it's like $400, worth every penny, and I'm having a complete blast with it. So, cool. Yeah. Awesome. All for Star Wars reasons, but still.
Yeah, for sure. Lena, do you have any recommendations?
I do. There is a show on Freeform right now called The Bold Type. They're right at the end of their 3rd season. They just got picked up for a 4th. It is based on the interns at Cosmopolitan magazine. It is one of the best shows I think I've watched for showing young women who are strong, and then women in leadership roles and everything kind of along that same line. It is one of my favorite shows to watch right now, so I highly recommend it.
Cool. Mr. Jason?
Nothing for me this week.
Mr. Todd?
2 things. One, I like how you said you took me to the Void while Jason was there.
I know. I realized that after the fact as well. I was like, oh, Jason's there. But like you and I have done so many VRs together. I'm like, oh, I've definitely taken you there. But yes, Jason was with us as well, yes.
Yes.
That's all good.
So this is recommendation I believe Brian's done in the past as well, but I just watched the season finale to Doom Patrol on
Fuck
the DC
you! You took my
Universe app.
recommendation.
Ha! It is so bizarrely, absurdly weird and amazing, and I love it. And you've got this character that doesn't like how things are going, so she decides to start narrating on her own to change it, and it works.
Yeah. Well, and as we record this tomorrow, they're starting Swamp Thing, which I'm really excited about because that looks amazing as well.
That looks amazing. That has rave reviews coming through too. So I'm really excited. So that DC Universe app, their original programming stuff, Titans was pretty good, but Doom Patrol's been great, and I'm excited to see what they do with Swamp Thing.
Yeah, so, I think it's been fun.
So I have to tell you, I've got a guest in my little fake studio here. That is the geek in my life as I'm sitting on the East Coast. And she told me that she didn't think that the end of Doom Patrol was as fulfilling as she wanted it to be.
I can understand that entirely. I've liked the show in general, but I won't argue with that.
But she loves it. She's mouthing to me that she loves it so much.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
No, I'm very proud to have a poster from when we saw at WonderCon. We went to a panel for it, and I have the poster up on my wall. I have framed it and put it up there. And my Reptar that I won when I was at Universal Studios Florida is staring at it, which is bizarrely awesome as well. Anyway, I have weird random shit all over my walls. That's
right, but I mean, it's a show that has carnivorous butts, kaiju-sized cockroach. Yep. I mean, and then you've got a narrator that they've got to kick in order to like get motivated again. Yeah. And it's really great.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and I loved it. I like it a lot. So, but tell Tori I understand what she's saying.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
See, I figured out who you were talking about. I'm so smart. SM Marty. Cool. Well, since Todd stole my recommendations, I think that will do it for me. Anybody else got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thanks for listening. And we will see you next week for Moonstruck. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And then we press stop.
Thank you for joining us. Please rate us on whatever service you listen on. And remember, at least we're not cinema queens.